Oye, Ish, do you think we should share with our Pero Primos our secret weapon to having the energy to record a new episode every single week?
Yeah, I think we can let them in on it. It's Bolé.
What's Belay, you're asking? Only our favorite way to combine fresh food and bold flavors in a way that powers us through each episode.
Exactly. Every week before we record, we head to Bolé and build a customized bowl, starting with a base like forbidden black rice or kale, yeah. Then we add veggies like ginger broccoli and protein like lemon chicken or miso glazed tofu. I mean, oh, that chicken's really good.
And Mira, don't forget, I like to add a little extra flavor with add-ons like creamy garlic and herb sauce or avocado.
Yeah, you love that creamy garlic sauce. So, I mean, honestly, the combinations are pretty much endless, and they've definitely got something for everyone. And that's because Bolé is on a mission to inspire bold living through the power of fresh food. And if there's one thing we know on this show, it's being bold.
Yeah. With locations throughout Florida, including their latest Brickell location, we know when you visit Bolé.com, you'll find one near you.
So start experiencing Bolé today and enjoy fresh food to fuel your life.
Hey, Miami, you know what time it is? It's time for Carnaval Miami. That's right. Carnival Miami is back and better than ever with a return of their signature events in March. March 5th and 6th, head down to Coral Gables for Carnival on the Mile. In its 24th year, the street fair has 3 concert stages, art, jazz, and funk, fine cuisine, and family entertainment. This free event is the perfect way to spend a laid-back weekend. Then on Sunday, March 13th, it's the iconic and, oh so Miami, Calle Ocho Music Festival, the world's largest Latin music festival, takes over Little Havana with concerts, food pavilions, culture, y de todo un poco, in a way that it's only the 305 can do. Así que don't miss Carnival on the Mile or Calle Ocho Music Festival in March. For more information, head over to carnivalmiami.com. See you there. Hey everyone, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is
Season 5 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
You know what I always think when I was younger, I thought she used to say, I fuck it and forget, because you say we'll never know.
No, not our Kylie.
Are we recording?
We are.
Welcome to episode 182. Bam, I got it. I've been good in the 180s, right?
192.
192. Okay, I take back everything I just said. Everything.
We're inching closer to 200 and you set us back 10?
What was the
170s you couldn't figure out?
No, there was one, I think it was like the 120s or the 130s. It was probably the beginning of COVID. Well, it was.
It was, yeah.
That I was like, are we ever going to get out of like the episode 120 something?
No, but you also felt that way in the 170s.
Yeah. So, hello everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to Pero. I feel that today, welcome to episode 192.
192, yes.
Pero let me tell you, I hope everybody had a good weekend, although it sort of feels weird this week to say that.
I just have a lot of feelings right now. But with that said, I'm still looking forward to the Sobe Wine and Food Festival.
And so am I, that I'm going to be eating meat for the first time in 3 days,
exactly.
3 months, deal. I was going to say, welcome to Pero Let Me Tell You After Dark. We're recording at a bit of a later time. So when you hear this on Friday morning, it's practically live.
Yeah. Still not as late as when we were in LA.
No.
Because that involved time zones.
The LA, we recorded the LA episode at it was like 4 in the morning LA time.
No, 4 in the morning Miami time.
Right. So when we finished recording, our show was going to air in Eastern time in like 2 hours.
It was like ready to go. That was live.
Yeah.
I mean,
I always love that we called it, Pero Let Me Tell You goes west.
It goes west.
We need to go west again.
We do need to go west again.
I have better reasons to go west now. Anyway, ¿qué te iba a decir? So, I mean, I feel we have to address the elephant in the room.
Britney's book deal.
Britney got a book deal?
Yep, $15 million.
It should be called The Things I Need to Say. Not the things I should have done, should have gone.
I don't even know. All I'm going to say is I really hope that they pay her copy editor a lot.
Y'all, why? Y'all.
Because if her
I'm just a Southern girl, y'all.
if her book writing is anything like her Instagram writing, that person has quite the little task ahead of them.
Yes, she's going to have a team of ghostwriters,
Yeah.
isn't she? You know what? I have to say
They might
that...
actually be ghosts.
I have to say that, seriously, there's a certain art form to that because, like, for example, Mariah Carey's autobiography, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, it was written with Michael... Is it Michaelina Davis? Or
Sure.
She's an author.
Okay.
So obviously, I'm sure that she had a lot to do with like the writing,
Helping
and
an
putting together the
outline
book.
or- right.
But the book is very much written in Mariah's voice. Like if you
Yeah, you have to be able to write in your subject's voice.
if you are a fan of Mariah and you know how she speaks and how
Right.
what she calls certain things, it seems very natural. So either yes, she really picked up on Mariah's voice, or Mariah had a really big input. So I feel that with Britney, it would probably have to be the same thing because it's really hard to read an autobiography without y'all.
That's true. Maybe that's what Touch of Rose is.
But I didn't know she got a book deal.
Yeah. Happened this week.
So are we waiting for the Oprah interview?
So it's a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's just the book's just got to come out essentially.
I think what her sister did is so shitty. Just so awful. As
Yeah.
as you and I were discussing,
I don't have anything against Jamie Lynn because I feel like Jamie Lynn is in a situation. If you remove yourself from it, like Jamie Lynn had no control over the conservatorship, had no, you know what I mean?
That's true.
You know what I mean? So in that sense, but it's like, but then she goes and does things like this, where I'm like,
what you and I were talking about this off air.
yes,
if you
as we
can
do on
believe it.
occasion.
That does Jamie Lynn really believe that she has a fan base out there that really wanted this autobiography?
Right.
Like how many hardcore, like what is it, Zoe 101
yeah.
fans are there out there? Like really? Like
Right.
I mean, come on. And yes, she would say the book is not about
It's not about
Britney. Well, but it is about Britney because all you talked about was Britney, and all your press was about Britney. Because if she really,
Timing-wise, if
she
nothing else.
really, and timing exactly. If she really didn't want to speak about Britney, then in all her interviews that she did in her press tour, she would have not talked about Britney.
She could have put a disclaimer in there saying, "I this is what I will not be discussing."
Right. I will
because
not be
God
talking to my
knows
sister.
there have been interviews that have told us, "Hey, you can
Of
talk about
course.
whatever you want except for X."
Exactly. Oh, we've been told that. But exactly. Or she could have given a very general statement like, I love my sister. I wish my sister well. I'm glad that she is now free to be her own person.
Right.
And that's all I'm going to say about it. But, every single interview she did was about Britney. So
Right.
it's just, I've told you, like, I think that family, I mean, obviously we don't know them and we didn't know them. I think that family is the perfect example on how money changes people and
Yeah.
it brings out the worst in people because they seemed to be like
Your average Southern family.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
and even when Britney first came out, like I wouldn't say that it was a wholesome image, but they seemed, they were a family,
An average family. Like,
and then
yeah. And then
all
here,
this
and
happens,
here we are.
right? Because like now she's not speaking to her sister and her mother and her brother, and it's like I always think like, oye, tiene que ser algo really big for me not to be talking to my mom,
Yeah.
my parents, and my brother, and all that. I mean, now that we've said each other things throughout the years.
But you always come back.
I had a huge fight with my brother one time. It was Christmas Eve.
Oh, shit.
Yes, it was Christmas Eve of 2006.
Okay, so this is recent-ish.
Yeah, it was like I think it was my first Christmas back from Michigan.
Okay.
And there was tension building up.
And boom.
And that year we did Noche Buena at my brother's house. And I left. It happened like it was like 9:00 at night on Noche Buena, like prime
pleno
time.
fiesta.
Prime time. That him and I started having words, and it escalated
Right.
very quickly. And I left his house in a very dramatic fashion. I'm leaving. And I left, and then my parents go out. No, por favor, por favor.
La Noche Buena.
Ustedes son hermanos. No. Like, and I made it very dramatic,
And then, the next day.
Actually, no, I didn't
No,
talk.
but-
I didn't talk to him until New Year's. A whole week.
A whole week. Well, that's because, at that point you had left the problems behind. Yeah, that's it. Año nuevo, carta limpia.
We hadn't tirar el cubo de agua yet, but
But still.
Anyway.
But no, the real elephant in the room, obviously, that you wanted to bring up was...
So I feel that with this Ukraine stuff, and we always like, I feel that we've said this before on the show. You know, we try to make people laugh and we try to have a good time with people. But, you know, and I feel we always struggle a little bit when we have to talk about like
Heavier topics.
really heavy topics. And
because we want to, but we don't want to be...
And not even controversial topics.
No,
because,
no.
you know, we've taken politics head on.
Right.
Many times. But this is like another level.
But this is
right?
just serious. I mean,
so
right.
let me ask you something, because I always like to kind of read the room, because, you know, I am a very political person, and I am very, very like, I read the news, I watch the news. So I understand that a lot of times my perspective on things is a little bit different than like the general population, if you will. What is your take on it, on the situation with Ukraine? What is your take on it? What do you know? What do you not know? What are you not sure of? What, you know?
It's funny you say that, because actually, knowing that we were going to be talking about it, I looked into it a little bit.
De verdad.
Yes, I did a little research.
Were the only Ukrainians you knew, was it Max and Val?
No, there's...
But they're everybody's favorite Ukrainians.
It's true. If I have to, I mean, you know, out of all those famous Ukrainians, so famous we need not mention.
I used to love Max, but then I liked Val more.
Yeah, there's something... Val's a little more mischievous.
Yeah.
You know?
Nothing like talking about Max and Val when we're talking about...
Well, I mean, listen, we got to lighten the room somehow,
yes,
okay? So I was... It's funny
from Dancing with the Stars people, in case
in case... Yeah, sorry. Well, they listen to our show. They know we are Dancing with the Stars fans. So I did a little bit of research to feel like I kind of maybe would learn a little more. It's funny you said I was actually going to ask you to kind of explain the situation to our listeners, but I will go ahead and give my very lay person. So from what I could tell, I mean, obviously Ukraine is an independent country, Russia as well. And there are, again, I could be completely wrong, from what I read and understood, there are essentially like these pockets within Ukraine that have, for lack of a better way of putting it, expressed a desire to no longer be part of the Ukraine and want to go back to Russia. And so Russia has said, okay, well, we have to help them because there's also like Nazis in there. And then it just kind of gets like kind of wacky, because it's like, okay, but I don't understand how this escalated to this level. Now, I understand how this escalated to that level in the sense of like, I understand what a Vladimir Putin is. So I could see how, you know, this just... You put somebody there who's power hungry, and I could see how it could escalate to this level, but I don't understand how it escalated to this level.
Okay, so
how much of that? Did I get like a C plus?
No, you did. The thing is that it escalated to this level by fake outrage and fake escalation, because he was going to do whatever he wanted to.
Right. Well, right.
So
it was a matter of time.
The fake escalation, if you will.
Okay. It was a matter of if not when.
Is that he...
when, not if.
The face that he was, you know, excuse he was giving to the world.
Okay.
Is that he didn't want Ukraine
NATO,
to join NATO.
NATO's involved.
Ukraine to join NATO.
Correct.
Right? What people have to understand is that NATO was formed during the Cold War as an alliance of different nations against the Cold War, right? Against the Soviet Union. So when the Soviet Union dissolved, right, NATO continued. And the purpose of NATO is not so much now against Russia, but it's an alliance of countries.
Okay.
Right? So the Ukraine wanted to eventually maybe join NATO. So,
which, by the way, they hadn't even like formally applied.
Right.
Like, this is not like they were signing the treaty this week.
Right. No.
Right.
So the fake outrage, as we call it sometimes in other issues, is that he didn't want NATO to... he didn't want Ukraine to join NATO. As far as the pockets that you're talking about...
Now, in all fairness, he didn't want Ukraine to join NATO, but as an independent country, Ukraine can do whatever the fuck it wants.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. No,
right.
I want to like make all these very clear.
And then, you know, as early as earlier this week, he was saying like, I'm not going to invade Ukraine. Right. What I think is really interesting about Vladimir Putin is that every time there's an issue, whether it's a cyber attack, whether it's an act of war, because he's downed passenger jets. Anytime anything like that happens, always like, it wasn't us. Like, it wasn't us. Like, it's like, really? Do you really think people are that stupid?
Right.
I think it's kind of funny that this is the farce that they put to the world.
He's like the Shaggy of dictators.
It wasn't me.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was like the fake excuse. Those pockets that you're talking about within the Ukraine that are like strongholds of the Russian, that are pro-Russian, that's all been planted. Those are all like areas that he has put like local leadership that is pro-Russian. This is something that he's been doing for quite some time.
Okay.
I mean, the machinations of this have been going on for a while.
This didn't just happen today.
Right. So, to go with what you were saying, like, oh, it escalated. Yeah, it escalated, but he was going to go in. He was going to do what he was going to do.
Right.
No matter what.
It wasn't a matter of if, but when.
Right. So, obviously, the ramifications of this are very serious because this right now as it is, and this just started today.
Yes, it's like 48 hours old.
Right. It's already the greatest military mobilization in Europe after World War II.
Really? Already?
Yes. I mean, there really hasn't been anything like that after World War II.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just one of those things where you don't think about until you think about it.
Yes. So, I mean, this is something what people have to understand, people that are not involved in politics and people that maybe aren't well-versed in this type of stuff, is that the reason why this is so important is because you are letting a man decide not only the fate of millions of people in a country, but shape the geopolitical world to his liking.
Right.
Like, I want this country back. I want this country. I'm going to get it. Right. So, and why the Ukraine? I've spoken to a couple of people this week who've called me. I've said this. I take it as a compliment, but sometimes it's a little like, how anytime something happens, like something big, like people contact me, like, what do you think about this? Like, what are your points? Like, I'm very flattered that people,
but at the same time,
want my opinion, but I'm like, ay, okay, pero chico, tú no ves el noticiero, like Wikipedia, that shit, if all else fails.
Google, baby.
I'm flattered,
right?
What the kind of example I used was, imagine if Mexico all of a sudden said, we're taking Texas back, bitch.
California's ours again.
We're taking Texas back. Like it or not. Boom, Texas
Here
is
you
ours.
go.
Right? It's kind of like that because the Ukraine was part of the Soviet bloc.
Correct.
Right? Although what he is saying is that the Ukraine is Russian. Well, actually, the Ukraine has even older
genealogy.
Yes, than the Russian, kingdom, if you will, or
the oligarchs.
Yes, and the czars and all that stuff. It actually predates Russian, but it is very much part of the Russian
history
and cultural landscape. Although they have been their own autonomous country for quite some time now, so it is not. It's not Russia.
Right.
It's not Russia.
Right.
So, yeah, it's like if the U.S.
it's like the U.S. and Britain, I guess, in the sense that
right. If England came back and go, hey,
guess what?
Politeness
Week is over.
Now we not only do we want the colonies back, we want the whole damn thing.
Right. Yeah. Forget the 13 colonies.
New England is really ours.
It's old England now.
It's old England now. Yeah.
Right.
And we have Megan.
Exactly. And we want her back.
Yes. So I mean, we laugh at it, but it's like that.
Right.
And look, aside note, most importantly, the loss of human life, the potential that this has to be a catastrophic. This, not to sound really dramatic and not to alarm people.
Not to be that guy.
Obviously, there's a lot that needs to happen that hopefully will never happen for us to get here. But this, again, I always say this about history. This is why I'm obsessed with history. You got to know history. You got to understand it. You got to read it. You got to consume it. You got to be obsessed with it. Because what always happens with history?
It repeats itself.
What's the saying? Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it.
Those who don't learn
when
from
you
history.
look at the beginning of World War I and World War II, World War One started with the shooting of the Duke
Franz Ferdinand.
Franz Ferdinand of Austria,
The only
right?
reason
And
the only reason I know that is because of the band.
Do you know how many people know that Istanbul was Constantinople because of
They might be giants.
yes. But hey, whatever
gets you there.
Whatever gets you there.
I have no shame in saying that. It's like that's how I know about Franz Ferdinand because of the band.
I love you.
Listen, it wasn't that long ago that I found out what Nine Inch Nails was about. The name.
Wait. Wait. You're talking about the band.
Yes. The name.
But you didn't know what Nine Inch Nails meant.
No, not until like maybe like 15.
You didn't know the reference.
No, not until like maybe 15,
And
20 years ago.
you took your confirmation when you were in 5th grade?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no. Was it 5th? Well, whatever. Whenever we take the
What were
confirmation,
you
yeah.
doing? Hello, that's even in a Tori Amos song.
Oh, well, I'm not Daisy. I'm not the Tori Amos fan.
Anyway, but back to what I was saying, the issue at hand. You know, when you look at like World War One, World War Two, when you look at these huge cataclysmic, I can never say the word. Cataclysmic.
Kata?
Clis.
Kata?
Kata.
Kliz?
Kliz.
Mick.
Mick. I thought you were going to say clit. Anyway, when you look at those events and you see kind of the chain of events that happened.
Yeah, it never starts off at the end.
Yes, it's quite incredible that it's like one small event. Not that this is a small event.
No,
that
but-
leads to something else.
Correct,
That leads to something else.
correct.
It literally snowballs.
Right.
And this has the potential of being like World War III. It really does. And you know, that's something we need to be very concerned about because I think that what
Why do you feel that way in this particular
I'm gonna tell
instance?
you why.
Because we've had many.
I'm going to
many
tell
other
you why.
skirmishes.
Because again, we don't know what's going to happen.
Correct.
He is potentially taking over a country that's actually a very large country.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's taking over a little island,
Right.
He's taking a very large country. And the problem is that Russia, what's going to determine this is going to be the morale and humanity of leaders, especially European leaders, right?
Okay.
Because a lot of European countries are very tied with Russia in terms of economic
Correct.
economic ties,
Right. Trade and everything. Yeah.
Right. So these are countries that are European countries that are directly affected by this crisis.
Correct.
And if Europe is affected,
We're all affected.
we are affected.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, a lot of times what happens is as Americans, you know, we are the West. We're all the way over here.
We're by ourselves.
We don't
right.
have an enemy nearby. So
Right.
we have this sense of security of like, well, they're not going to bomb us.
Right.
But what you don't understand is that when there's instability in other parts of the world, especially with countries that are allies of the United States, that is an issue.
Right.
That is an issue. Also, which this already come out in the news, but we all know that it is a possibility. It's 2022. Russia is Russia when it comes down to cyber warfare.
Yeah.
You know, they can fucking shut the internet down.
Yeah.
You know, they can do that. So, and now these are things that affect your daily life.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, your
So
banks,
it's a lot of things.
It's a much different world than in World War II, where they don't necessarily have to bring a plane over to do damage.
Right. I mean, they could even affect the military.
No. But to your point of like earlier, where people are like, "Oh, well, you know, I can't get over here," and blah blah. Because again, our mentality, our perception of war, thankfully, because we haven't had one to that scope, is still the Pearl Harbor.
Right.
Right,
Or
where-
like a terrorist attack.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like that, you've got to come over and physically, and we can see that, and we can intercept it, and you know, shoot it down or what have you. But that's not how warfare is going to be played out moving forward.
So,
and I will tell you something else, though, that this worries me because as we say, all roads lead to communism and Cuba. Did you see that Russia has forgiven Cuba's debt at least until like 2027? Mm-hmm. That worries me because what's the only thing at the end of the day that Cuba has in its favor in terms of any type of power? Geography.
yeah.
90 miles.
So, God be with us. It is a very, very it's very worrisome. It really is. And we've talked about a million issues here, and I generally don't ring that alarm. And I'm not ringing the alarm. I'm just saying that this can get
really bad before it gets better.
There's been a lot of conflicts, Bosnia, Sarajevo,
Iraq,
Aleppo.
Yeah.
Those are regional conflicts, horrible as they are, right. And terrible bloodshed,
Rwanda.
Unfair. But those are regional conflicts. This is not a conflict. This is an invasion and an act of war.
Right.
And what are you going to do? So it's very hard. What I will say is, and this is where I'm going to go on a little bit of a FU to a lot of people, is y'all already seen on social media.
I loved what you put, by the way, this week.
What did I put?
About the people who expert in this puts raisins in the picadillo.
Y'all already seen on social media. Oh, because this is Biden's fault. Because Trump would have never allowed that. Okay, Putin would have done this.
Putin doesn't care who was in power.
Who doesn't care who was in power?
He would have taken his shirt off, gotten on his horse, and done this anyway.
You know what? Maybe Trump would have handled it like Biden. Maybe Trump would have handled it differently.
Yeah, we don't know.
But he was going to do what he was going to do.
What happened this week was going to happen.
Right. And what really bothers me, and I'm sending this message out to both sides. Porque there's been like the
todo mundo has opinions.
The right, because Biden's weak and Biden's we told you really
right,
you people were saying no don't vote for Biden because there's gonna be an invasion right and Trump already said that he's genius right, riling up his base. And the people on my side are already like, this is a lie, don't fall for like imperialism, that it's the US, and it's imperial, toda esta mierda.
Right.
Okay. Stop it. Stop it. You know what you should be worried about? You should
Those
be worried about
people.
the people that are stuck in the middle of that. You should worry about the humanity of that, of the mass migration that this can lead to. So right? You should worry about the human element of this and stop trying to show who has the bigger what.
Yeah, by all this, it's not a pissing contest.
Exactly. This fucking stuff that people I don't understand political memes. Like, do people think that when they repost a political meme that they somehow are like smart? That people are going to think like, oh, you're really smart. That sassy little political meme.
All my opinions have now changed.
Right. Right. Thank you so much for that. I was on
the fence.
Yes.
I was waffling until you posted this meme with bad grammar and spelling.
With bad grammar that probably was
created
by a Russian.
Right. By somebody who wanted you to.
Because this is a proven fact that one of the ways that Russia meddled in previous elections was that they were doing inflammatory memes and inflammatory Instagram
social
media posts and Instagram Facebook groups on both sides.
Yeah, they were just pitting everybody against each other.
Well, we know. Actually, no. Everybody else fell right in that trap.
Well, we as the royal we, shall we say.
Actually, no, don't include me in that one.
Whatever.
I won't take the we on that one.
Mi gente, let's face it. You can run 100 miles a week and lift all the weights in the world, but the key to meeting your fitness goals ultimately comes down to one thing: la comida. Well, the new YouFit has just the solution to help make healthy nutrition choices with their Eat Love program. Part of YouFit's Premium Plus memberships, Eat Love is the leading personalized nutrition platform used by fitness companies and dietitians. Así que it's legit. This tool not only provides over 6,000 recipes and access to nutritionists, but factors your lifestyle. So whether vegan, vegetarian, keto, low carb, lo que sea, Eat Love has got you. Eat Love is your workout's perfect complement. So visit youfit.com and find out how to make Eat Love's customized nutrition program part of achieving your fitness goals. After all, at YouFit, you come first. But Actually, it's with what you've been just saying. I actually wanted to share a story because there's this Instagram account that I follow. It's actually it's a satire account for advertising. It's called David Brogilvy, named after David Ogilvy, who's like the grandfather of modern advertising and so on.
Wasn't Ogilvy a perm?
I think so.
Okay, go ahead.
But this is someone who like I don't know him and he doesn't know me, but I enjoy his content. I've sent, on occasion we've DM'd back and forth like, oh my God, this is so true. Yeah, man, can you imagine? Blah, 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 what have you, right? So, and again, I'm saying him just because of the fact that it's David Brogilvy. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. A few weeks ago, I believe he is based out of Canada. This is kind of when I first noticed the Ukraine situation getting very, very, escalated. He said something to the effect of, I just got a call from my sister and my nephews, because apparently he's Ukrainian and they're still there. From my sister and my nephews, basically calling me to tell me that they love me and to say goodbye because they don't know if they're going to be able to see me again.
That was a couple of weeks ago.
That was about maybe like 3 weeks ago. The fact that this man, and again, I'm saying man, I don't know, had to sit there and receive this phone call from his family, that has stuck with me. And that is like, me tiene mal. And I don't know these people. To the point where today, actually, I DM'd him and I said, hey, I know a couple weeks back you posted about your family in the Ukraine. I'm have you heard anything from them? Are they okay? And his response was, I haven't heard back from them. I've sent my sister a couple of texts. I haven't heard from her, but they are showing as having been read.
That's scarier.
Yeah. So, like I told him, like, as pithy and trite as it sounds, just I've got everyone in my and I know we say thoughts and prayers nowadays and it's like this joke thing, oh yeah, thoughts and prayers. But really in this case, I mean, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing our listeners can do, right? So, before you get down to your little, meme, political rabbit hole bullshit, take a step back and just think about this story, if nothing else, because it's a real person. It's a family.
That's one of the things that, like, because obviously, how opinionated I am about things. Right. And even I haven't really posted. I mean, I posted that thing today. That was kind of like a middle finger to what we're talking about.
Right. It's about it, but it's not about it.
Right. And how it's like, shit, we can't even right now come together just as like humans, a human collective,
right,
and be like, shit, this is awful what's going on here, these poor people,
sin beberlo y no tomarlo,
right? Like, and no, everybody has to,
it has to turn into my soapbox, and it's not about that, guys.
So what frivolous, this is very frivolous what I'm gonna say, first world problem. When all this is going on now, it's like, COVID, now like a potential World War III. I'm never gonna see The Weeknd live. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm like freaking Abel. Like, I'm not gonna be able to see him. I'm like, first of all, he announced his tour last year, and I was like, I'm there.
No, and wasn't he about to make an announcement?
Yes,
he was gonna announce something.
So he had
like literally today.
He had his after hours tour.
Okay.
Right, that was going to be last year. So then obviously got canceled for COVID. Right. So then he rescheduled it
for this year, and he canceled it again.
So now he's going to do new tour dates,
right?
And they're going to be stadium. Y yo te dije, yo tengo la tarjeta preparada. Like, I have a card with a big balance and a zero because it's aside from the fact that I freaking love the guy, I pray at the altar of Abel,
not Cain.
It's. Tristan is really into The Weeknd.
That is true.
And like, it's something I want to do with him. I want that to be his first concert.
Right.
And I really want to go with him. And I'm going to put like best available, like best seat.
Yeah,
like,
just go.
Boom,
just go. Right.
I'm not even going to look at the price. I'm like, whatever. And
Cuando llegue el bill, después llego.
Don't worry about it later. And I was like, a fucking World War III is going to stop see The Weeknd again. First, it's all these like global emergencies,
That's true, yeah, because it's not like, a local skirmish.
Right.
Or a drought, right, like Kylie. Right. And even she toured.
Yes, they just didn't have the water
They
segment.
just had no water segment in that stop, but she toured.
So I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
So
No, it's been a rough week for me mentally. I have to say.
Mira, between this and the Don't Say Gay bill and let's talk about
the poor and Texas. It's almost as if though Florida did the Don't Say Gay bill and Texas said challenge accepted.
hold my beer.
Hold my beer. Like I'll see you're gay and raise you a trans.
Yes. Oh my god. I don't want to laugh at that,
but it's like that's essentially what happened.
Yeah. So in Texas, did it pass?
I'm pleading ignorance. I don't know if it has passed.
So
or
listeners,
proposed
what it's just talking about is that in Texas, Governor Abbott, I think it's a proposal
okay, maybe we're still in proposal
that
phase.
Children that are trans or identify as trans, or I even think questioning under a certain age, like the parents have to be investigated.
Right, as basically as child abuse. It
Yes.
essentially becomes a DCF matter.
Right. So, I mean, that's the type of stuff you read, and like,
Mind you, this is the party that's like, no, abortion's bad. You must have the baby. But then if they're gay, we punish them. If they're trans, we want to punish them. Oh, so what you just want is like white heterosexual kids. Got it.
And if you're trans, we're punishing the kid and the parent.
And the parent, thank you for having it. Now you're both horrible.
So yeah, these culture wars are just. Let's talk about something happy.
Before we talk about something happy, which I'm telling you, I'm usually a very happy, optimistic person, but this week, sinceramente,
Well, no, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. I have to tell you that. I'm not gonna get into it now.
Like, no lie. Yes, this weekend you and I are going to the South Beach Wine and Food, and we're gonna have a great time, and we're gonna eat, and we're gonna drink, and everything. But I'm genuinely finding it difficult to enjoy
it is
myself.
I have to tell you one that it's not something I've really dwelled on, because sometimes you can dwell on certain. It's not that you can't dwell on them, but
you can't let it just
you have to
consume
move on. You have a lot
can't
of
let
things
it consume
going on.
Yeah.
Specifically, the Don't Say Gay bill here in Florida, particularly as it pertains to teachers, like that's something that hits very close to me in terms of like my high school experience, and I know what it's like to be bullied. I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but I know what it's like to be bullied. And I understand that. And I understand how important it is to
have an ally,
to have a teacher, somebody who would just listen to you, whatever the issue it may be,
Somebody who's just being in your corner.
It doesn't even have to be like an issue with sexuality, whatever.
It could be bad acne,
and that now, like teachers, even if their heart is in it, they have to like be careful.
Right.
Because they could lose their job.
No, y menos mal que they pulled the other bullshit part of the bill, which was that teachers would have to report it to parents.
Yes.
It's
like inhumane. Like it's,
you know what? For a party that is all about I don't want to wear a mask. That's my personal freedom. Personal freedom. It's like, you seem to be very occupied with where people are putting what.
I have to tell you that I love when you get this riled up, because usually it's me.
It's just.
And now that I'm not riled up about this, but I'm taking a more sensible approach. It's also past midnight, and it's the tundra. We're in the tundra.
Yeah, we are in the tundra. I think that's why you made it so cold.
So, listeners, I think we mentioned this in the.
Maybe that's why I'm so heated up right now.
We mentioned this before in
several episodes, I'm sure.
So, anybody who comes to my house knows my house is also known as the tundra.
Yeah,
because it literally is like, it's usually 52 degrees.
You have to follow Jenny Lorenzo's decree of ponte un suéter.
Oh no, un suéter. No, you need something stronger.
Minimum un suéter.
What else? Just right now, you came out and you're like, I'm freezing cold, and you were gonna turn up the air. And I go, no.
He put it down.
Put it down.
He made it colder.
I love to be cold. I'm not a cold person. I'm not cold inside. That's the
okay. As long as you're not dead inside,
I'm not cold inside, and I radiate a lot of heat.
I radiate heat too, but my God, you're like the core of the sun.
I'll never forget what
when you had your colonoscopy. Did they find magma inside of you?
Remember one time, one of our friends, she came over, and like I saw her face.
Right.
I saw her face that she was like coming over. She had just gotten here, and like she walked in, and right when she came inside, like the living room area, that I think you were already here. We were there. She's like, I saw her and she's like, oh, fuck, I forgot my sweater. Like, what am I going to do now? Voy a pasar trabajo in Darian's house. You know, with like...
En esta casa, for all of the people who are living in Miami or who have lived in Miami or understand pockets of Westchester, en esta casa hace más frío que en el Denny's de la 40 y la 87.
Oh my God, for sure. No, it's... Yeah. I'm colder than Denny's. Goals. Those are goals.
Okay.
Those are climate control
because
goals.
in ese Denny's of Bird Road and 87th
Well,
Avenue.
the truth is in any Denny's, but that one in
particular,
is cold.
like, they should have like ice, like
My
snowmen.
eggs are cold before I even get
Yeah,
them.
no,
Like,
I ate some moons over Antarctica.
moons over the Arctic Ocean.
Yes, exactly.
Well, see, right now we're recording the show. We have like throws on us.
No, yo parezco like vaya una señora with like a shawl.
I'm glad that the temperature
Yes.
chaos of my house can, you know,
Can break the ice, as it were.
yes.
Y yo aquí con un escote de lo más cute.
That's why you're cold. That's why you're cold.
No. There are days where I walk in here and I have like normal clothing on and I'm still flipping cold. Okay, so no me digas, don't blame the escote.
You know what I really want right now?
What?
I want a dozen donuts.
Okay.
That could be arranged. I bet. Oh, what's the only thing open? Dunkin' Donuts, and now they don't even have glazed. Now they'll have, you know, like one lonely munchkin ball.
They'll have some type of weird like lemon cake thing.
Oh, I love lemon cake. What are you talking about?
I know, but it'll be weird.
Yeah, because it's like 20 hours old.
Right, like I don't know how, but it'll be weird.
You know what like really insults me? I guess we're not gonna get a Dunkin'
No,
Donuts
that Dunkin' sponsorship is not coming.
Like I really like it really bothers me. Like we take a lot of Mojo to my parents' house.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
my brother takes it, I take it. We all love Mojo. We love Mojo.
Listen, Mojo Donuts. I've taken Mojo Donuts to Naples.
Yes, and my father. I mean, I'm being honest here, and we love Mojo. We know the owners of Mojo Donuts.
Yes, we
They're
love
awesome.
Jimmy.
My father has told me a bunch of times, "Ay, a mí me gusta el the donut of Dunkin' Donuts more." I'm like, I hate you right now. Like when he tells me that he likes Dunkin' Donuts more, I'm like, you know, I really hate you right now. Get away.
Is that a holdover from living in a communist country?
Oh yeah, ya comieron donut ruso.
I know. That's like whenever we would watch The Simpsons, my grandfather would always say, "¿Y por qué ustedes ven esos muñequitos rusos?" Like, I'm like,
Oh my god, your grandfather thought they were ruso.
he would always say, "He's like, esos son muñequitos
But my
rusos."
father
Eso.
says that all the time. He's like, no, because like, and my brother, when my brother takes Mojo Donuts to my parents' house, he takes like 3 boxes.
Coño.
And it's like, yeah, it's like freaking Christmas.
Okay, let me tell you something. I love Mojo, but Mojo Donuts are very filling. So like,
Well, but my parents' house is a compound, you know.
That's true.
There's
You're like-
always at least 12 people there.
that's true. The Branch Davidians had less people.
Oh, that didn't end well. Like,
They didn't have Mojo Donuts.
things would have not ended the way they ended if they would have had Mojo
They would have had
Donuts.
Mojo Donuts. They
No,
pro-
my dad
they-
always
they
says,
probably had.
I'm sorry, Jimmy. We love you. We love Mojo Donuts, but, you know, we're saying the story here. No, see, I mean, with the Dunkin' Donuts, ma, and I'm like, I hate you. I hate
Yeah,
you,
like,
man.
why?
Go away.
No.
Like, what type of bullshit is that?
No, Dunkin' Donuts is like, you know, you're on the way to Disney and you go to the rest stop and you're like, I want un donut. Okay.
No.
Well, what other donut are you going to
Well,
get at
I
the
mean,
rest
listen,
stop?
listen.
Like,
I'm not gonna deny a Dunkin' Donuts. You bring me Dunkin'
I'm
Donuts, and I'm gonna
saying,
have it.
right,
you know?
that's what I'm saying.
But you know, I do like their lemon donut. That probably is not even lemon, but who cares? You know.
They're citrus-like donuts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me ask you something, because I was talking to a friend earlier this week about it, and we had this like really funny conversation about it. When you were a kid,
Okay.
your mom, your your grandmother, una tía, did any of them collect yadro?
I don't think they
I know your mom collected frogs. Ceramic frogs.
Right. And she's still, to this day, she's still like, will occasionally, you know, find a cute little frog. And I don't think she did yadro. My mother did la descarada. My mother did.
I do remember your mom's descaradas.
My mom had a couple of those oil things with peppers in them.
Oh, that's when kitchens were really like Tuscan kitchens were in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Right,
yeah.
but everybody's version of a Tuscan kitchen was just to buy 3 botellas with peppers in them
But now
and
it's
put it on the top
Tuscan.
of the counter.
Exactly. Entonces you had to go every couple of months arriba del counter a limpiar la botella y la
because
malanga.
no, I'm sorry, not the counter. Arriba
Los
de
gabinetes.
los gabinetes. Yeah.
Right. A limpiar las botellas
Right.
y la malanga. La malanga
Right.
artificial.
Well, yeah, because how else is it going to stay as alive as long as the botellas?
And you know that I was the one who had to do it.
Well, you're the tallest person in the house.
Well, no, because I would stand on the counter and then take the stuff out. Because you know that my parents' kitchen, like the ceiling is higher.
Yeah.
Right. So I take down todo, todas malanga y toda esa mierda that my mom had on top of the thing.
Ay, pero let me tell you, the only podcast that will talk about the Ukraine invasion, don't say gay bill, malanga plants, and yadro.
Because we were talking.
I challenge you listeners to find any other podcast that has this in
So
one
my friend and I,
episode.
we were talking about like Cubans have this thing con yadro, and it's so true. Like,
Yeah.
oh, tuviste que fina,
Fina.
que fina está esa pieza de yadro. Mira las manos, mira las flores. I'm like, oh my god, like.
I'm trying to think now. I think my mom maybe had like pero as like un regalo or something.
Right,
It's not like she
right.
collected them.
El yadro,
Yeah.
ten cuidado. I was like, sí, tú pones el yadro, and then cuando viene la visita sacas el servicio de plata.
Which never happens.
It's never happened.
I'm still waiting for our friend to use her China set.
My parents. So I laugh at this, but I'm like not laughing. I tell my parents all the time that, the day they're gone, I'm keeping their China set, right?
Okay.
And you might think like, oh,
Oh, the China.
The China.
The heirloom.
do you know where my parents' China set is from?
Luria's.
It's from J. Byron's.
Ooh. Oh my god, can we use it for for Christmas dinner? Can you just borrow it?
It's from J. Byron's. And I think that my mom got it on sale. But it is China. Like, it was
So it's
made in
legit-
China.
it's China. It's
It is
legit
China.
China,
And
right.
I actually think it's nice. What I think is so funny, this is like, I don't know, over 30 years old. My mom
Right, yeah.
probably bought this in like 1987 or some shit like that. What I think is so funny is that till this day, en el gabinete arriba del refrigerador, the one nobody ever opens, the cabinets on top of the
Yes.
fridge.
Even I don't open mine.
Nobody opens that. Like,
That's why I put shit and then I'm like, where did I put this thing? Eso yo lo abro whenever I have you people over for chips.
that is the type of thing that the gabinete arriba del refrigerador are the ones that you put stuff in that you don't use, and then you forget it.
Like the chip bowls and things
then
like
you
that.
forget it, it's there, and then one day when you open it, oh, that's
Aquí
where
donde
it's
está.
at.
Mind you, since then you've had to use that thing, so you probably went and bought a replacement.
another one, of course.
Right.
So what I think is funny about my parents, China from J. Byron's, is that I love that you said Luria's, by the way, is that my mom still has like 3 or 4 things in the box because we've never used it. The gravy bowl, like Cubans don't use gravy bowls.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And like the tea, it's like the tea,
like the sugar, the
the
tea.
one that has the 2 handles. It's a sugar one, right?
That's the sugar bowl, yeah.
Well, Cubans don't use that. Like,
That's true. That is a sugar bowl. Yeah. Oh, now I want to go play like with the china in your mother's cabinet. You should totally borrow it for Christmas dinner. The next time that we have Christmas dinner here at your house, you should borrow it.
yeah, it's like I said, my parents' China. No, people, but my parents' China's from J. Byron's. Like,
But if we
I think it was like 1999, but it was like a set of it was like a full complete
Yeah,
set
that sounds
with like a
it-
serving plate.
It even has a sugar bowl and a gravy bowl.
Yes,
yeah,
it has
yeah.
like dessert plates, like the regular plate, like a serving thing.
Okay, but I think if that's the case, like we should.
I'm sure that you've eaten in my parents' China at one point or another.
And I just didn't even know it.
Yeah, the last 30 years.
If we do that, I think that Christmas dinner that year should be like
At my parents' house.
no, the theme of like whatever year it's from.
Mm-hmm.
So like lots of sweet and sour dishes
Right.
and like Jello with things inside of
Yeah.
it for dessert.
Okay, it's from the 80s, not the 50s.
Oh, that's true. Okay, never mind. Yeah, but you know where I'm going with this.
You know
lots of-
that I've actually thought about having whenever I host Christmas dinner again, doing it at my parents' house just for fun, shits and giggles.
Why
Old
not?
School.
doesn't do it.
But
Me queda más seca.
but yeah, no, we were talking about yadro, and he was like, oh, because people collect yadro. He was telling me people collect yadro, and they think it's like this whole thing, like, oh, tengo una colección de yadro.
Yeah, they're gonna be like millionaires.
and it's like that shit doesn't get any value.
At all?
If it does, it's very negligible. It's like,
Oh wow! I mean, I can't say I have ever thought about it one way or the other, but
like how much is it? $100? You know?
yeah, what people don't realize
If
is
you're not going to Antique Roadshow and tell
that's
you
true.
like.
That'd be great. Oh, you've brought me a yadro piece.
But you know why yadro is big with Cubans, right? No. Oh, because yadro is from de España, and anything that will link you up to the motherland
is fino.
No. Yes, no.
It's fino.
Porque nosotros somos españoles. Like, sí, en España,
What people don't realize, and actually, it's like the Beanie Baby craze and all that crap.
Oh my god,
those things are only valuable if there are fewer of them in the world. So if you bought something that they made 80,000 of, unless 79,999 of them are destroyed, it's probably still $5.
I love watching Antiques Roadshow. Like, who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, again, that doesn't apply to Cubans. Because, like...
Well, first of all, we don't have anything.
Well, who goes on Antiques Roadshow? Oh, because, my great-grandmother...
It's from the Civil War.
Yes, my great-grandmother had this in her attic for years. And probably the great-grandmother got it from her great-grandmother.
And it came over on the boat on the Mayflower
it was on
or whatever.
fucking Mayflower.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. Our people had to come up...
You should go and take the J. Byron's China. Just for shits and giggles. Can you imagine if you take it and they tell you, like, they only made 10 of these before the factory blew up or something like that.
And the 10 went to J. Byron's.
Right. And it's
in
like...
Miami and Coral Way.
And there's only 10 in the world. Like...
It's like, shit, we're Cuban. Like, it's really interesting that my parents have a few things that were given to them by my grandmother when they first got from Cuba. And my parents got from Cuba in 1980. So 43 years. And my grandmother got here in the 60s. When my grandmother got here in the 60s, a lot of people gave her hand-me-downs.
Correct.
So now you're talking about things from probably like the 50s and even 40s.
Yeah, depending on...
Right?
Yeah.
So we've always in the house that my grandmother gave, because when my parents came from Cuba, my grandmother got them like a house, and with like basic, like,
you guys were set up to function,
right? Like unos vasos, like some pillows, un transportation, as we talked about in last week's episode. And one of the things that my parents got was a bowl. And that bowl now is, I don't know if you've seen these green bowls and like green kitchenware, that it's like a certain type of glassware that's green.
I've probably
like
seen it a million times.
60s. It's actually pretty collectible. My parents have that bowl. I have a bowl like that. So now, ever since I found out like that's collectible, I was like to my mom, we don't use the bowl.
Esto es de lindo nada más.
We have it in that cabinet that my parents have that's glass in the kitchen. I'm like, esto se pone aquí y esto no se toca.
Se mira, pero no se toca.
That's fucking bullshit that we do,
Yeah. No, but it's actually I brought it up to you a couple weeks ago, where it was like, the one thing that I find the saddest about being, Cuban American is that we don't...
Ancestry.com doesn't apply to us.
Yeah, and like it stops at us. Like, and we don't have heirlooms and we don't have things like that. Like that does, when I stop and think about it, it really does make me sad.
No, I've told you, so in the very, very, very few relatives I have left in Cuba, one of them is my grandmother's niece. So, the daughter of my grandmother's sister.
Okay.
And she has, and I've always heard of this, a bedspread that was knitted by hand that is of a peacock of her grandmother, which would be my great grandmother. It would be my grandmother's mother.
Okay.
Que vino de España. So she probably did that in Spain. And I've told you, if I ever go to Cuba and I go to her house and she has that bedspread, I'm like, I will give you $1,000 for it. Like, mira, aquí
in cash.
You will be good.
You'll be fine. You'll be
good.
fine.
But I'm taking the peacock.
Total, it's a tropical climate. Aquí no hace frío.
You've had it all these years. It's time that it needs to come to air conditioning and be bread.
And God knows.
Mira, actually, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. ¿Tú sabes por qué a mí me gusta el aire acondicionado tan
frío? Because
remember that I was born in Cuba. So I started the first 9-10 months of my life under un mosquitero. So you know what?
I can't. can't with you right now.
Hey, I'm making you happy.
You are making me happy.
My life started in un moquitero, under un moquitero without air conditioning.
So you'll never go back there again.
I'm
Damn
never
it.
going back.
You're never going back. God is my witness.
¿Qué dice esta estúpida Scarlett O'Hara?
With God as my witness,
I'll never go
I will
hungry again.
never be under a moquitero again.
With God as my witness, I am never putting my house under 65 degrees ever again. I love it when people with their air conditioning. I love how air conditioning is a topic on our show this week. How people are like, oh, I keep it at 72. I'm like, what the hell is that? At 72?
I keep it at 77, 78. Like during the day, and then at night,
That's why when I go to your house, the first thing I'm like, is the air on?
Yeah.
Pon el ventilador.
Pero si hello. I've told you that if something were to happen that you and I would wind up living together, that would be.
Have you ever noticed
the electricity cost would be what would make me want to kill you? Like that would be the fight every month.
Have you ever noticed what I do? It doesn't matter where we go or what type of hotel it is. What I do when I first check into a room.
Well, you lower the air.
I have the bags in my hand. I still have the bags in my hand. And
He's using his tongue.
I'm in the thermostat. Boom, 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 boom. Oh,
How low is this bitch going?
I'll be like, it only goes down to 65? Like, when you go to
room service is brought by the penguins from Mary Poppins.
Yeah. You know that was a problem in my office because in my office,
oh, that's right.
We share air conditioning
you share
with another office.
the thingy, the thermostat.
And it was under lock and key, and I was like, bullshit is that? I got a paper clip, and I would jam that thing, and I'm like, I'm putting this shit at like 65, Like, I'm not gonna leave this at 75. Are you kidding me? And then the people next to, hay mucho frío. I'm like, pues don't sweaten. Like,
I will say it's easier to remedy being cold than hot.
yes.
You can always put on a sweater. You can't necessarily sit in a public place naked.
Well, you probably would.
This is true, but I'm speaking in general. I'm speaking, across the board.
Right. You probably go in a wonderful shirt like you have now. That's like a deep V-neck.
Yes, and this isn't even my deepest V. You know this.
And I'll probably go in a hoodie.
You exactly.
I would always enjoy.
Yeah. That actually was the alternate title for the podcast: Hoodie and the V-neck. It was.
That could work. Hoodie and the V-neck. I'll probably go in. I will go in a hoodie. Like,
That's what I'm saying.
Ve, por eso siempre tengo calor because I'm in a hoodie.
Oy. Okay, but just take the hoodie off. God damn it.
Yeah, but then I'm you.
That's true. The world has enough with one of me.
Whoa, to our listeners, we hope that was the laugh portion of the.
Yes, yeah.
We started with the somber listen.
And you know what? And thank you, I have to say, because I literally this week I've just been like, I really have just been feeling like this degree of just anxiety and just. Actually, I don't even. You know that I know it's the same thing, but to me, anxiety and ansiedad are two different things.
Which one to you sounds more dramatic? Ansiedad.
Ansiedad.
Yeah, ansiedad sounds like anxiety, but with like gas, heartburn.
Yeah, like something else. Because to me, anxiety just means that I'm sitting somewhere and being like, can this be over already? But ansiedad is like with heartburn, like te tiras en la cama, like.
Well, it's in Spanish.
It's in Spanish. There's always going to be, it's always going to be more dramatic.
Ay, qué ansiedad. Man, it's been a long day.
It has.
Listeners, if you made it this far, thank you for making it this far.
Yeah, legit.
Wait, do we have like any fluffy topic that we want to bring up?
Fluffier than yadro.
Yeah. I want to give a quick shout out to a pair of our very, very faithful listeners in San Antonio, Leslie and Julio. They actually got like a coffee truck.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
What is it called?
Oh my God, you really put me on the spot. I know this. Hold on.
All right. Well, actually, I think I saw it posted the other day. I just can't remember what it is.
A bad person now. Why did you throw me under the coffee?
No, it's not.
Bus that
I'm
way?
not throwing you under the coffee bus. I just think that if we should help promote small businesses, and it's the least we can do. So and they're based out of Texas, right?
Yes.
The
Drink Tank.
The Drink Tank.
Yes, San Antonio.
In San Antonio.
And they do like a bunch of different coffees and all that stuff. It looks really good. It's a little far for us, but it looks really good. It looks really good. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to them because, they're friends and they're great supporters of the podcast. And,
So now that you said supporters of the podcast and friends of the podcast, I actually want to bring something up that literally just happened like tonight. So I have to say one of the excuse me, one of the things that I love and I know you love as well is, when we started this podcast 5 years ago, it was just, us eating shit, whatever. But since then, we've really connected with a lot of you. Yes. And that, to me, is flattering and humbling at the same time. And to that end, we actually got a DM from one of our listeners.
We did.
Yes. So I'm gonna read it to you. Her name is Natacha. Hold on. What is it? Natacha Borrajo Aviles. And I just thought it was very sweet because it's like, well, I don't think we can. I don't know what kind of power we wield, but here we go. So it says, "Hi DJ and Ish, longtime listener, first time caller. Love you guys, the rants and the laughs. I'm taking a chance here and asking for something I would normally never do. I wanted to make you privy to a local concern if you're not already in the know. The Hammocks Association has increased our association fee 300% from 1 month to the next. The community is trying to fight back, but is also looking for greater community support. If you can highlight this in the podcast or mention it on your social media, it would help out a lot of people. Thanks for your time." And I told her, like, send me some more information. We can probably post something, on social and tag them and what have you. But it kind of struck me, and the reason I bring it up is because it's such a nice, it's an interesting, nice, humbling, flattering feeling that you and I are in this position where people feel like, hey, can you help us get the word out? Can you help spread awareness? Mm-hmm. And I think it speaks to what we've done with the show, which is made our position very clear, but also in a way that's approachable. And I don't know, it just gave me a really warm fuzzy.
Is she going to send you info?
She has sent me some info, and so I'll be posting about it in our stories.
Okay, because that's something
in the coming days. Because we've been talking about affordable housing and things like that.
Yes, I always say affordable housing. If I were to run for public office, which I'm not, that would be number one above everything else.
Yeah, and I know this is kind of a weird one because it's the association, which is the devil.
Right, but $300 or 300%,
not $300, 300%
from 1 month. There has to be some. From a legal standpoint,
there has to be a justification.
I know a thing or two about law. There has to be some type of either. I'm not familiar with...
the only thing I can think of is it's an assessment. But an assessment...
I'm not familiar with
this
association law, and there's very specific laws in Florida that are written for HOAs. Okay. And there has to be some type of safeguard in terms of notice about increasing an HOA cost from 1 month to the next 300%. There just has to be. So I guess that's something that we would be more than happy to either look into. I know a few lawyers that do HOA work because that's a really big problem. And
you can skip your mortgage. Don't skip your HOA.
So I was about to say that when the mortgage crisis happened in 2008. From about 2009 to about 2014, 13. But I did a big part of my practice was foreclosure defense. And, we all know what happened. We don't need to go into it. Banks would take years, and the whole foreclosure process would, from the bank, would take years and years and years. An HOA, you stop paying your HOA, they file a complaint on you.
You're out.
And within 2 or 3 months, you could be lose your house.
Yeah.
Whereas the bank
You'll be there for years.
The mortgage to your house, you could be there 5 years. Like in that time,
didn't you have a case where somebody was there?
I had a case that I always say that this was like patient zero. These were the first people that stopped paying their mortgage in the mortgage crisis, right?
Yeah.
It was from 2008, and like in 2015, we still had the case going on. Right. And the client wasn't happy. She's like, but why can't you extend it more? And I'm like, but a woman, you haven't paid your mortgage in 7 years. Pero que te crees tú?
Right. You've been lucky enough as it is. Yeah.
You were lucky to get 7 months.
Much less 7 years.
Pero you don't pay an HOA. And the thing with HOAs is that HOAs is a double-edged sword. If you live in a place that has a good HOA that's well managed, you're good. because there are benefits to having an HOA, especially when you live in a community, right? But a lot of times that's not the case. If you don't have an HOA that's well run, it can be a nightmare, a nightmare. They can make your life a living hell. So, hats goes out, my sympathies goes out to her. But back to what you were saying, I mean, we get messages from listeners, and sometimes it's just like a thank you. Other times it's like, I live wherever, and listening to you guys makes me feel like I'm listening to my cousins back home, mi primo, and that's why we call everybody pero primos. And it's like I'm talking to my family, and and you give me, I feel the warmth and all that, and listen. If we're being really transparent, we are very fortunate and very blessed that the podcast has taken us to a place where there is some type of financial, we do make money out of the podcast.
There's a financial benefit
at this point.
Right.
We're
not retiring.
We're
off
very,
of it,
very lucky and very blessed that we've had some great sponsors and people that have believed in our podcast. But for many years, that was not the case. Nope. For like 3 years, that was not the case, and this was a labor of love. That we were fronting the cost completely, and we very happily did so. Yeah. It wasn't like we were. It wasn't like we were doing the podcast all those years and we're like, oh fuck, we're not making any money. Like, where are the sponsors? Why,
I mean, you guys got a show every week.
So clearly, I know you don't like when people use this term, but the way our podcast, the trajectory of our podcast has been very organic.
But it's true.
Because we first were like, okay, let's see if maybe 2 or 3 people listen to us if we're lucky. And then it's like, oh, our first episode, 200 people listened to us. Okay, that was much better than we thought.
Right.
And then, 400 people listened to us. And then, 600 people listened to us. Oh shit, and it was very organic. So it wasn't like we were like, oh, we're gonna kill it.
Right. Out the bat, 10 million.
We were like, if 10 people listen to us,
we're Joe Rogan. Like, if 10 people listen to us out the bat.
You don't want to be Joe Rogan now.
Well, back then. But, I don't know. It's just, when I saw that, it just made me, again, as poopy as I was feeling this week, I have to say it made me feel kind of nice that people feel comfortable enough with us that they reach out to us.
And it's one of those things that, like, I mean, we talk about it all the time. We kind of forget sometimes that we have a platform.
Right. Because as we say, these are conversations you and I would have even without the microphones.
Right. But we forget now. We it's not that we forget, but it isn't like front and center that we have a platform, that we have listeners, we have people that listen to us every week, and that actually want to hear what we say about things. Like
okay,
and it's like, okay,
are you sure?
Which is very flattering.
It is, and humbling.
And I think to that topic, that video I did in July about Cuba.
The one last year.
That went like super viral.
Yeah.
There's viral and there's that.
Yeah.
I think that was,
I think you were actually the first Omicron. That's how viral it went.
But it was like, that it got reposted and all this stuff. And like people were commenting and stuff. Like, it's like, it was like, wow, like we have a platform.
We resonate.
We have a platform. And
we don't take that lightly.
No, we don't take that lightly. We don't take it for granted. And we never forget that, it's everybody listening. So if you're listening to this, you made it happen.
Yep. So thank you for that.
Make it happen. Don't even start me with Mariah. The other day...
What happened with Mariah?
Because the other day I was at her website, and it's like, you go to like the merch, and it's like all fucking Christmas stuff. I am over Mariah Carey and Christmas. It's like you have freaking 19 number ones. You have like 15 albums. I don't
Tienes que escoger.
Yeah, I don't want Christmas Mariah. Like, and nobody loves you more than me.
Like, diversify, sweetheart. Diversify.
Well, I mean, I know she's milking the Christmas cow for all that it's worth.
And listen, it is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So
that's a one big Christmas cow.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh no, she has like Christmas cookies. Like,
oh, for real?
Yeah. Oh, they look so good.
Oh, well, I'm sure they're delicious, darling.
She actually had She actually had these cookies for Pride last year, but they sold out right away. That it was like a brown butter, like butterscotch with like chocolate sprinkle, like chocolate chips, and I was like, oh my god, that is like.
That sounds so decadent.
Remember we were talking about that lemon donut, like.
Oh. Girl, if you're selling that on your website, I know now why you're not with Jenny Craig. Come on. You can't do both.
Oh yeah, viste who's officially out?
Wendy Williams?
Yep.
La pobre. I feel bad for her.
So what is wrong with her? Do we know? Do we not
That's
know?
the thing. Nobody really knows. She's having health concerns, but it's been very like vague y por arribita. So nobody's been able to say like, oh, health concerns means, I don't know, she has X disease or whatever. The rumor has it that she fired this week her entire management team. Mm-hmm. Again, these are all just rumors from like Page 6, so take it with a grain of salt. That she's having like they think she has like early dementia because there are moments where she has like memory lapses. It's the thing with her is that I mean, I get it. Okay, I get it from the production standpoint. I will say because the star of your show has not even been able to do one episode.
I didn't realize she had been gone since July.
That's what I'm saying. Since the new season started, she hasn't been able to do one episode. Now, again, I understand from a medical perspective, you want to be very caring. And I think she, absolutely go and get whatever help you need. But a business is a business. And it's like, if we're going to keep calling this the Wendy Williams show and Wendy Williams is never going to be on the show, like, it's not like it's the Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson and then you just switch it out.
Right.
So at some point,
the Wendy Williams show starring Sherry Shepard.
Right. At some point they're going to have to either move forward or just pull the plug entirely.
Laverne and Shirley without.
Actually, that's a perfect example because it stayed Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah. Would it really sound good as Laverne?
Yeah, no, that sounds horrible. What are you watching at 8 o'clock? Laverne. The lady at the laundromat?
I remember as a kid.
Oh, I didn't understand.
Watching, obviamente, the reruns of Laverne and Shirley, and me being like, pero ¿qué pasó aquí?
Where is she?
I'll never forget that in the opening credits when it was just Laverne.
Yeah.
She's doing like hopscotch.
No, she's walking with a bag of
groceries with a red shirt, right?
And then there's a school of kids that do the shlemio shlemazel thing.
Something.
She's basically watching kids doing the hopscotch, saying what they used to say.
And I'm like, but it's just her alone. Like, what's going on here? I didn't understand at 6. The contract disputes.
Contracts and
Wages.
and being pregnant and all that. Yeah.
Is that why she got let go, Cindy Williams?
I know that she did get pregnant, and so
what I always.
It was a sitcom about two women in like the 50s, and one of them's knocked up. You can't just.
Okay, this is a very random thing that obviously you would appreciate. When I think Cindy Williams, I think Shirley. Obviamente.
Okay.
Do you know what's the second thing I think of?
The show that she did with Rachel on TJF.
That Ricky Martin was on? Getting By?
Getting By. Yeah,
yes,
I couldn't remember the
that
name.
Ricky Martin was on? That's what I think of.
Okay, I couldn't remember the name, but yes.
That is what I think of.
I will tell you that's probably one more project than most people remember when you say Cindy Williams.
Because I was like, okay, that era of Ricky Martin, like the mid-90s, that's when only we knew of Ricky Martin. When I mean us, we mean Hispanics.
That was his General Hospital.
Right, era.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He hadn't made it into the English market yet. So
Madonna hadn't discovered him yet.
Yes. So whenever he would come out here and there in the English market, I'll be like, oh my God, Ricky Martin's on the show.
Right.
Like,
it was a cause, like to watch things. Yeah.
I'll never forget, like, picture it.
Okay.
Law school, Michigan. Fucking persona americana.
Okay.
Un estadounidense.
Oh, so formal.
Saying, oh my God, that Ricky Martin is a one-hit wonder, living the vida loca. And me being like, oh my God, every fiber in my body wants to get up and punch you in the face.
There are so many things I have to tell you right now.
Ricky Martin is a Latin idol. Like,
he's an icon.
He's an icon. Like, what? That's what I'd be like, white people. Like,
and then you just take a breath and you move on.
It's like, okay, you don't get it. Move on. Exactly.
You move on. You let the anger settle. You let it go through you.
Do you remember that show on Telemundo called Estamos Unidos?
I do. What was that show?
It was
Was that like a sitcom?
Telemundo trying to do sitcoms in like the early aughts.
Was that around the time that they did the Spanish version of Charlie's Angels and Simon and Simon?
Ángeles y con Cristian de la Fuente.
Reyes y Rey.
Reyes y Rey. What is Cristian de la Fuente? Cristian de la Fuente looks like the type of person. Did this happen? Or I'm not sure. Cristian de la Fuente looks like the type of Latin actor that would have one or two projects in English that didn't do that well, and he'd do Dancing with the Stars.
So that actually happened.
Wait, that happened? That's
He
why
was on Dancing with the Stars.
Okay, that's why I was like, okay,
He was on
am I
Dancing with the
dreaming
Stars.
this?
He did. I believe he did that.
Okay,
that,
so he was.
He did that lawyer show with Dixie Carter.
That's why when I was saying that, I'm like, okay, did I dream this?
No.
Because I'm Dancing with the Stars.
No, and then he did another show. He did something else. He did like 2 or 3 English projects. He did Dancing with the Stars.
God,
Yes.
we went from talking about genocide in Ukraine and World War III to Cristian de la Fuente. Where is Cristian de la Fuente nowadays?
I don't know, but I'm actually trying to get him for the show. So if we do, we'll ask him.
He should do something with William Levy. It's the natural progression.
That is true. That's a lot of like jawline.
I don't know what English reboot can they do? Because they would do a reboot. Chips? No, Chips has already been done. I think Chips is done.
Just is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay, we're not doing chips. Okay. Well, they're way too fit to do a remake of Jake and the Fat Man.
Yeah, or Perry Mason.
So neither of those is gonna work. No, Columbo. Neither one of them has a weird eye. All right.
Remington Steele.
They could do a gay heart to heart.
No, well, I mean, are we gonna do investigator shows?
I don't know why
shows?
my mind went there immediately.
Heart to heart? Yeah, I actually thought about that too. You know, oh, they could do oh my god, they could do a remake of My Two Dads. There you go.
I love it.
My Two Dads.
Okay, done. We're making this happen.
Mi do papi.
See, that sounds like we're back to the gay heart to heart idea.
My Two Dads y Mi do papi are two very different
properties.
And two very different networks.
My Two Poppies sounds like one of those, adult documentaries you find online.
Oh my god!
I think it's soda time.
It's been a long day, and it's really late.
I think it's soda
I
time.
think by the time we finish recording this, it's morning. The cock or doodle doo is. ¿Cómo se llama la gallina?
The rooster?
The rooster. How do you say it in Spanish?
El gallo.
El gallo. El gallo. This is we're in finer form than we were.
In
LA.
Yes,
In LA,
absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
All right. But with that said, let's wrap it up because ya estamos like mal.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go first
No,
with the last
you can go
soda?
first.
All right. So, I am going to go I'm going to go completely like just frivolous because again, it's been a week. I don't know if you've seen it yet. There's a new documentary on Netflix called The Tinder Swindler. Mm-hmm. And it's about this guy who would meet women on Tinder, and he was a con man, and he would like bilk them out of like thousands upon thousands of dollars. It's it's just one of those things where you can just put it on and watch, and you know what? It's totally enjoyable. It's a documentary, and what I love about it is that he would tell all these women that like, and this is all happening in Europe. He would tell all these women that like to send him like $50,000 because his enemies were after him and he needed money to escape them. And all I could think of was like, listen, I love you. And I don't think that if you asked me for 50 grand because your enemies, quote unquote, were after you, first of all, I'd be like, I've known you for 30 years. You don't have any enemies that are going to require that big of a payment. Secondly, that's just a lot of money. like, and he would bilk them over time for like more and more and more and more and more money. But now he has come out saying that he was not swindling these women. No, that they just, that those were loans and those were gifts and this, that, and the other. Never mind the fact that he was pretending to be the son of like a huge Israeli businessman, and
As one does.
and he is not. So, Tinder Swindler on Netflix. Watch it if you like to see people get their comeuppance.
Okay, well, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, no, I'll say that after. I want to give my last soda, actually, to a model named Sofia Girao, a Puerto Rican model.
Yes, I had totally forgotten this was on my list too.
So she is a model for Victoria's Secret, and she has Down syndrome.
Yes, and I'm just gonna say it, she's hot.
Yeah, and I saw a few interviews of her, and it's like everything. We can't have nice things, right? Because
God, what happened?
When Victoria's Secret announced that earlier this week, people online were like, "Oh, they're just trying to make money out of her," and
that's what businesses do.
And there were people there who were saying like, "Oh, they're taking advantage of her."
How?
Because she can't consent, and I thought
That's insulting.
that is insulting because somebody with Down syndrome can consent.
They're not incapacitated.
Yeah, they can consent, and actually. The people who would write that on social media, a lot of people like harped back and were like, no, they can't.
There's also varying degrees
They can't.
of
but
Down
I think
syndrome.
that's groundbreaking.
Absolutely.
That
she's got Down syndrome and she's Latina.
yes, and in Victoria's Secret, and are they trying to rehash their image? Yeah. They are.
It's a business.
Victoria's Secret now came under fire in the last few years because their models, the angels, were did not have an inclusive shape.
Right.
Right.
They promoted unhealthy body image.
My comment to that is, it is true that the Victoria's Secret angels did not look like the everyday woman. That is true, and Victoria's Secret catered a lot to the male fantasy of a woman in lingerie. Right. But it worked.
Yeah.
It worked because they made a lot of money and a lot of women bought a lot of things, right? I think that obviously as a company, they need to see when society shifts
and shift
accordingly to that, because then they become a dinosaur. And then they really start becoming a company that is not representative of what women in this case want, right? And I think that they've done that. They have like more inclusive. The inclusivity is like way they're making they're making an effort.
Really shifted,
they're making an effort from different shapes and colors and sizes and stuff. And now a model with Down syndrome. So you have to give them credit for at least trying and knowing that they have to do better, right? Because as we always say, it's like, oh, people want corporations and everybody to do better, but then when they do better, oh no, you're doing it for press, or you're doing it for money. Then
right. So what do you want?
So okay, entonces como tú ganas.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
So hats off to them for doing that. So.
And to her. To her also for bucking what she probably heard a lot growing up was probably like, ay niña, tú no luces como los modelos, tú no puedes ser modelo. And she was like, you know what? Screw that. I'm gonna be a model.
Right. So good for her, and good for the company. That can. I mean, I'm sure that that's great for her career, but hopefully that will open the door to other models,
the next
with
girl
like
and
Down syndrome and things like that, because that's something that up to now we really hadn't seen. So
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So anyway, well, wow,
all right,
that was
it's a lengthy episode.
I feel like I just went on the graviton.
Oh no! Don't throw up on me.
No, mijito. I know how to ride the graviton. I'm one of those obnoxious people that is like floating in the ceiling.
You would get like upside down.
Oh, upside down. And then it's like, shit, the ride's ending. Like, let me go back to my pod. Because boom.
Yeah, once gravity's back.
Yeah. Oh, there goes gravity. So, everybody, well, that was an interesting episode. Yes. If you made it this far, thank you for tagging along. Yep. As always, remember to we hope you listened, laughed, and learned.
Yes.
I feel that this episode there was really a little bit of all three.
We definitely were balanced this episode. Yes. Yeah.
So remember to grab your pastelito, your croqueta, and your cafecito. And thank you so much for joining us. If you are in Miami, we will be at the Food and Wine Festival, South Beach Food and Wine Festival.
Several of the events.
I'm going to be eating burgers, and you're going to be having tacos and
tequila and all of it.
I'm sure tote bags are in the mix.
Oh my God, I'm so excited now.
About the tote bag?
I'm always excited about tote bags.
Yeah, you got the last tote bag yesterday with flip-flops. which are my thing. I'm the flip-flop person.
Well, then next time, get the tote bag.
Ugh, whatever. Anyway, everybody have a great weekend. Thank you for listening. Have a great
rest
week.
of the week. Yeah.
Pedo Friday, Pedo weekend.
Yeah.
Have a good one. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.